Well, welcome back, guys. It's Stephanie, and this is the Business Owner Spotlight. The Business Owner Spotlight was founded by this idea that there are incredible business owners out there who have a story to tell, and they deserve for the spotlight to be put on them. They've done some cool stuff. Better than that, they have some lessons to teach you guys. So I want to thank, right now I've got Jenia Espe with me today, and she is going to talk with us a little bit about her story. So Jenia, thank you for taking time out of your day to join me.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone, and thank you, Stephanie, for having me.
Oh, I'm super excited. So first question for our listeners and for me, what's your story? How did you end up where you are, and what exactly is it that you do?
Well, the story is, I would say pretty typical. So I was a happy employee of a large financial services corporation. I had a very productive and fulfilling career. And at some point, call it midlife crisis or just extensive thinking over the subject, I thought, well, what else is there besides, working for the corporate world? So a few years ago, 3.5 years ago, to be precise, I kind of made that plunge. I've always wanted to have my own business. I had a unique set of skills, and I thought, well, let me try it on my own. So here I am, from corporate to the world of entrepreneur.
Nice. 3.5 years. So you made it past the first year, which is where the huge majority go out. You made it past the second year. You made it past the third year. So yep. Your next big one is 5 years. Two questions. What was the hardest part about going from being an employee to being a business owner? Mm-hmm. What was well, let's start there. What was the hardest part of going from business owner or employee to business owner?
Well, as a business owner, you're 100% responsible for everything that happens in the business. You just can't pass the buck to anyone. And I started a business, so it's a consulting business. I had a low overhead, and for a few months, it was just me. Yeah. So I really couldn't turn around and say, hey, my wonderful team, what have you done for me? Because the team was me, myself, and I. In a way, it was the most difficult thing, but also inspirational because it inspired me to be focused and be committed on my mission. And another thing is really managing expectations. When I started the business, it was not a reckless decision. I did a lot of research. I had a business plan. I was kind of your model student. I did my homework. And when that plan, deviates and you look at the bank account and you're not where you want to be, it's easy to get caught in negative thinking. So that's another thing I would caution business owners. If you're doing the right thing, stay focused on it, keep doing what you're doing, and don't put yourself down, because there are plenty of people and circumstances to make our day miserable. So let's not add to that by giving silly talk to ourselves.
Oh yeah, I'm 100% in agreement there. You can really ruin your day if you, and actually, so this morning I mentioned, but my morning got completely derailed prepping for this silly hurricane coming our way. And, earlier, about a few hours ago, I had this moment where I was like, I am really not in a good place, and I can either let myself keep going down this path, or I can stop it, reset, and restart the day. And that was what I did, and it's been great ever since. But yeah, that negative thinking, it sneaks in.
We get to be too hard on ourselves, and it's not helpful.
No, it's really not. What is your mission? You mentioned your mission earlier. What is your mission?
Well, our mission is twofold. We're a consulting company founded by two women. So one of the mission that's more global than the business is really to inspire women entrepreneurs and empower women, especially in consulting industry, to become more of a thought leadership force. So that's number one. And number two is the core of what we do. And what my company does is customer experience research and consulting. And again, it's a lot of things, and we can have 3-hour show about it. But really, to put it succinctly, is we help and inspire businesses to be more human. And usually after that, people ask me, what does that mean?
Well, I have a fairly, like, so my thought, when as soon as you said that, I was like, that's such a good idea, because so many businesses get stuck in being business instead of realizing, hey, you're working with human beings. Treat them like a human. So actually, I like that sentence. That was really good. But so in case any of our listeners are going, huh, what is it going on? You want to explain that one real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. We kind of have a little bit of historical explanation. Let's ask ourselves, why are the businesses today doing things the way they're doing today? Why do we have 8-hour week? Why do we have five-hour week? At least in this country, we do. Why do we have certain hierarchies and other things? And if we look at it historically, really the business, the way it developed and took shape, it was in the industrial age. And the industrial age, there was really nothing human about the business. It was all about production. It was the victory of capitalism. But we all hear stories, child labor, women labor, low wages, etc., etc. And of course, we're not here today. But fundamentally, the business was not having human well-being in mind. The business was about production, prices, volumes, efficiency, etc. And we don't realize that even in today's progressive world, we still live with a lot of those, with a lot of heritage like that. And what I mean by that is oftentimes the business products and services are not designed because customers want them or need them, or even if we want them and need them, then we have to deal with airlines shrinking the seats. They didn't ask us about that. We didn't want that. We don't want to stand in lines. I mean, there's just a lot of business processes that are designed for the business, not for the humans. And it's not that people are evil and some of it just status quo, but some of it is really doing things the same way we have been doing it. And the way business have been doing business is, I have an idea, I'm going to internally develop the idea, get all the engineers and smart people together, and then at the end we'll push it out to the market, and then we'll let the market love the product, hopefully. Well, that doesn't happen all the time.
Right.
So what we teach the businesses to do is, let's appreciate the customer feedback. Let's look at it from the outside in, and let's bring empathy in. And if you approach your product or service from the standpoint of empathy and understanding, how does a traveler with 2 small children feel, when he or she boards the airplane? How does a young mother feels, using certain product for the children? How do the teachers feel, how those educational materials fit into the class that he or she are trying to teach? So oftentimes those stories are not heard, are not told, and business has little appreciation of how the product and service really plays a role in their customers' lives. So we try to bring their stories and bring the inspiration from the customers to the business. So.
Wow. We should totally have lunch sometime and talk about how we could help each other out, because
I would love to.
Amazing. Totally aside from the business owner spotlight, I think we can work together.
I would love that.
But getting back to our spotlight here, because I'm going to get distracted in 2 seconds. What were some of, because you had to go, and I know I went through it too, right? And it's funny, 3.5 years ago, same thing. I was doing the exact same thing. May 2014. I was stepping out and starting my own business as well.
Oh, okay. We have a lot of celebration to do. Yeah.
I know. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I've really got to thank Chris for connecting us. What was the hardest part for you going through that transition? Because it's not easy to go from employee to business owner, and it's really hard to go from successful employee to successful business owner. What was the hardest part, and how did you handle that?
The hardest part is really for me was being self-disciplined and having to to execute my plan. I'm a big fan of dreaming big, and that's one of the things that I often tell my clients to do. Don't box yourself in. So I had my big dream, but nobody is going to do it for me. So making that execution plan is just following it took some discipline, and it took some adjusting. So I'm a big fan of kind of like, what is your most important thing? And it's not a new theme in the marketplace. What's your one thing? There's a great book. Go ahead and read it. It's wonderful. But really, how do you, with limited resources that I have, it's me and my business partner, how do we really get everything done that needs to get done and focus our efforts on the most impactful thing? And the other thing that was the most difficult for me, and again, I'll connect it with my passion for advancing women in the workplace. It's hard to find your voice in a corporate environment. I don't think I ever found it completely. And I thought, okay, I quit, and the next day I'm going to wake up and it's going to be new me. Nope, that's not how it works. It takes a while to develop your voice, your point of view, and really build up courage to be who you are and express that point of view and realize that, yes, I have good thoughts and I have good ideas, and yes, I can help people. So that courage and confidence was a huge piece that I had to work on.
I love that. You need to build courage to be who you are, which is funny because, again, this is something that I went through as well, where I struggled, and I was like, and just speaking to my women audience members here for a second, that is something we go up against, where it's like, am I the, how do I say this without cussing? Am I the jerk? Or am I just the get it done person? And it can be really hard trying to walk that line. So I understand it was tough, and it took a while for me to be like, no, you know what? I just need to be who I am. And you know what? If that doesn't work for some people, that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, it took a while. So I'm so glad you said that. I'm so going to tweet that one out later. But then, so what would be, and I'm watching the time here because I know we've already been going for almost 15 minutes actually, which is like amazing how quickly the time goes. What's your best piece of advice for business owners out there? Because I tell everyone this, right? It's really great to hear advice from people like Robert Kiyosaki and Mark Cuban and the people who are already out there, and they look at their bank account and go, oh yeah, how many zeros do I have today? Right? And it's hard sometimes to take their advice seriously. Sometimes it helps just to hear it from someone else who's in the trenches, who's fighting through it. So what's your best piece of advice for someone else out there in the trenches?
Just to be totally transparent, I'm not Mark Cuban and I don't really have as many zeros. So I'll give, advice that's probably attainable by everyone. I observed as an entrepreneur and as a business person most of my life that we tend to focus a lot on external things. And they're good things, like we learn, we read, we research, we network, we go to conferences, join mastermind groups, and in a way waiting for this perfect advice, whether it's Mike Cuban or you, Stephanie, or me, it's like, what is this? Mm-hmm. And I'm found through my personal journey that all our actions start in our hearts and our minds first, and then we take them to the outside world. So here comes my advice. I would encourage all entrepreneurs to look within and ask themselves, why did I start this particular business? What is the bigger purpose behind it? What are my values that I'm willing to stand for as a business owner and as an individual? And that builds a very strong foundation for who you are. Like, I feel, because one of my missions is to empower women, that all those wonderful women whom I know and don't know are behind me. And on a tough day, that's what inspires me. It's not the money. It's not that. It's really the mission. So in clear answers to those questions, why did I start a business? What are my values? What is my mission? They will provide a framework to all the decisions that we make for our future business. Because honestly, the truth is that neither business exists for our own fulfillment and pleasure. It exists to make people's lives better.
Right.
And to aspire to anything less is really to cop out. So find that connection and do internal work.
I think that's amazing. I was talking to someone yesterday. I said, as I'm doing, I think I'm almost up to 20 interviews now. I need to count them up. I've asked this question again and again, and I've yet to get the same piece of advice from someone. And I love your advice. Every piece of advice I think is fantastic. Yeah. And I love that, because if you don't have that connection, that passion,
why do it? Yeah.
You could go have a job with way more struggles. Yeah. So, well, thank you so much for joining me today. This was fantastic to have you.
Thank you for having me, and stay dry and safe in this weather. And let's do lunch.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you stay safe as well, and for our listeners out there.
Okay, wonderful.
Stay focused. You guys have got this. Get connected to your mission. Listen to this. Go back and listen to this one again if you need to, because I feel like there were some really strong nuggets. You have got this. You have a great future ahead of you. But connect with your vision, connect with your mission, connect with your why, because that's what's going to push you through. In the meantime, you have an amazing future ahead of you. Go out there. You're the only person who can make it happen. So make it a great week.